Hello, everybody, and thanks for coming to the book folding class that we're taping in case you didn't get your book and also for later use. Syrena will be hosting it, so I will just be muting myself and hanging around in the background and not folding because I have 0% of all of the craft skills. So thank you for attending and good night.
All right, thanks, Susan, and welcome. Like Susan said, my name's Syrena. I'm an adult services librarian at Carver County Library. And since I have my camera already set up to show you the folding, I won't show myself, but you can imagine I look like a joyful librarian. Glad you could join us today, and we're going to get started on book folding. We won't finish the whole thing right now in this class, but we'll get started and you can finish whenever you like. Before we get started, I did want to mention if you got the kits from the library, the cardstock is marking your starting page, but if you took that out, no problem. I'll go over how to find your starting page in step 3. Feel free to ask questions, and that's the best way I feel like to learn. So we'll get started with step 1 of this is finding a pattern, and that has been provided for you. This is a free book folding pattern from allinthefolds.co.uk. So what we're doing today is a measure, mark, and fold pattern. There are patterns that require cutting, but we're not going to go over that today, just the measure, marking, and folding type. There's also I wrote another website on here that has free patterns, the foldedbookart.co.uk. And you can also pay for patterns. Etsy has a lot of them. If you want to make a customized pattern, like with somebody's name or for a wedding or something, you can buy those off of Etsy. Or if you're just looking for something specific and you can't find it with one of the free patterns, that's another option as well. Those are usually less than $5, and most of them will ask you, just like it does on this pattern, not to share the pattern, but you can sell the book if you're a crafty person who wants to sell things. That's an option with these. And just doing a Google search for free book folding patterns is a way to find more. If you're looking for a specific, like cat, throw that in the search and you're gonna find even more specific patterns for yourself. So we've got our pattern here. We're doing the home with the heart for an O. And that was one of the free ones. This website that I got it from, the All in the Folds, they feature free ones. I want to say like every month. So this was a free one that might not be available anymore, but it was at the time that I got it. And then the next step is choosing a book. So the color is not that important unless, because when it's done, you're just going to be seeing the edges. But if you do, like I really like this purple one, that's why I picked it. But the color isn't as important unless you were showcasing both sides, but you're really just going to be seeing the front of it. You do want a book that has the flat edges, not deckled edges. Deckled are those ones that are uneven. So you want a flat edge, and of course you don't want anything that's dirty or stained. Just because you're going to be putting a lot of time into this and you want it to look nice when you're all done. So your book needs to be 3 centimeters higher than your longest measurement. And if you're using a standard hardcover book, that's not going to be an issue. It's just if you were picking out like those gift books or like a coffee table book, those are different sizes. So if you were going to use one of those, you just want to make sure that it's the right height for you. And then the next part of choosing the book is the number of pages. So this tells you right on the pattern, it says you have 263 folds and you need 526 pages. So if it doesn't tell you that on the pattern, you just double the amount. If you have 400 folds, you would need 800 pages. So good luck finding that book. But so this
Charles
book that
Dickens.
I have has, what's that?
Charles Dickens, he wrote many.
Right, yeah, there's a big one for you. So this pattern requires 526 pages. As long as you have that many or more, it will work for your pattern. And let's see, Friends of the Library book sales are a great place to find books for crafting. Also the dollar store or Goodwill. Just because you don't want to spend, well, I don't want to spend full price on a book and then make a craft out of it. So those are just good options to find used books for your craft projects. So finding your starting page, I think this is the most difficult part of the whole process. So if you have the kit from the library, it has a little pink sticky that will tell you kind of how I figured out your starting page. So you take the total number of pages from your book. So mine has 531, yours is going to be different. And then you subtract the number of folds or the number of pages you need. So the 526, and I'm left over with 5. So I would have 5 pages that are too many for my pattern. So I would divide that by 2 so that it keeps even in the front and back. So obviously this is a short, 2 pages, but if you had a book that was say 700 pages, you want to make sure you're doing that math pretty accurately, just so that when your pattern is finished, the unfolded pages on each end will look even. Any questions on finding the starting page? And like I said, if you have the kit from the library, your cardstock is marking your starting page, and there's also the post-it note that will say page so-and-so to start on. All right, so we're actually going to get started on measuring then. You need your pattern and your book. So you take the book like you're going to read it, and then you take the top left corner and fold it down towards yourself so that you're looking at the spine of the book and it opens kind of backwards to you. And then on the ruler, we're using the centimeter side, so that's the smaller marks. And like all rulers, it doesn't start exactly at 0. What I do is just ignore that. So every time I mark a page, I don't have to set it at 0. I just set it at the edge. And as long as you're doing the same for each page, that little bit of difference is not going to affect your project at all. So looking at the pattern, we have the book facing toward us, lining up the ruler so that there's a little bit of an edge to make your mark. And I see my first mark is 5.2. So I'm going to measure that out, make a mark with my pencil. And my second mark is 5.4. So if you have your kit, you can go ahead and do this along with me. 5.2 and 5.4. And that's starting on the page that your pattern tells you to start on. So I'm done with 1. I'm going to mark a line through that so I know that I'm done. And then I can go on to the next page. Line up my ruler again at the top so that it's flush with the top. And the first mark's 13.1. Go ahead and mark that. And the second mark is 13.3. So you notice that these are fairly close to each other. Each page is going to be different. But this is how you do the measuring and marking. So I'm on fold 3 on the next page. 5.2 and 5.4 again. And cross it out.
All right, so when you're saying point, are you talking about another, or it's just in between 2 of the centimeters?
So
So,
the 5.2 would be like the second mark after 5.
okay, all right. I wasn't sure how,
Yep.
how you were thinking of that. Okay, got it.
Yep.
Sorry, and these marks, do we start on the page that we're gonna start folding, on the page on the Post-it?
The page on the Post-it, right? The one it says at the bottom.
Okay, so we don't start in the, like, you're starting in the first pages, but we, like, if mine says 14, I start on page 14?
Correct, absolutely. Yep.
Okay, yeah, thank you.
Yeah, any other questions on finding your starting page or marking? So as you can see, this I won't say it's tedious, but it's a long process. You do this for the whole pattern. So you just keep going through and marking where the pattern tells you. So I'm just going to let you work on that for a little while and see if you have any questions. This is my favorite project to do while listening to an audiobook.
Yeah.
It's a little mindless, but you do need to still pay attention to the pattern. But it's also great to have a little something in the background.
I just finished reading Nick Hornby's Prince and Dickens and Prince.
Yeah, how did you like that?
Oh my gosh, it's fabulous. I watched the interview with him, which you had not too long ago, and really loved it. So I recommend it.
Awesome.
Not a very long book, so, and I usually listen to books and it's not available for listening, so I had to actually read it.
Yeah, same. I also listen to books. I'm doing Stephen King's Fairy Tale right now. It's a long one, so we'll see if I get done with it by the time it's due back.
I just talked to a friend of mine. We're going to read Les Miserables together.
Mm.
And that is 60 hours on
Wow.
60.
Dickens and Prince is available as an e-audiobook, by the way.
Oh, it is? Oh,
Yes.
I didn't know that.
Sorry,
Maybe-
I heard the word Prince and I had to pop in. Sorry. And
Oh,
you did you see the
oh.
club? Did you see the club book we had with
Yes,
Nick Hornby
that's why
talking about the book?
yes, that's why I read
Okay.
it. Yes.
Okay. So it is available as an ebook.
Oh,
Sorry.
I wondered
Go
if that
back to your
just-
crafting.
I wonder if that just happened, because I don't think when I got on the wait list that it was. Because I always look
Yeah,
for okay, that's good. I
Yep.
think I'll listen to it as well, because I would
okay.
read it again. Thanks.
You're welcome. I'll mute myself.
Thanks, Susan.
That's okay. There aren't that many of us here, so we can have our own conversation.
That's right. Okay, how's everyone doing on the pattern? You getting the feel for the measurements?
Yep.
You get to the section where it goes 5.2 and 13.3 for quite a while. So it's really good to mark off your patterns so you know where you're at for them. Otherwise, it's kind of easy to get distracted on where you're at. I apologize for my dogs. They're very confused as to why I'm in a room with the door closed. I can hear them outside breathing. Okay, so finish up the mark that you're on. Kind of sounds like everyone has a good feel for that. And the whole idea is to measure the whole book and then fold the whole book. But since we're not going to measure out 263 folds, for the sake of time, we're going to move on to the folding part, and then you can finish on your own time later. So finish up your mark, and then there's a piece of cardstock. I like to use that for a flat edge. So for the placement, you're going to go back to the first page that you started on in your first measurement and place the straight edge right on the inside of that first measurement. And then you can kind of use the text on the page to make sure it's lined up straight. And then you just fold towards the middle, 45-degree angle fold. And then if you have a bone folder or a tool, you can use that. I just use my finger to flatten out that edge. And then I'm going to move my straight edge to the inside of my second mark. And then fold that up. So right away on my first fold, I didn't bring my scissor. To get it to fold at a 45-degree angle, it's going over the spine. You can see there's extra there. But you want it to be straight up against your flat edge. So go ahead and if you have a scissor nearby, grab that. You can make a little cut. Otherwise, I just do a little rip because you're not gonna see that part. And then fold. And then I do a crease where it goes over the edge, and that can be cut off if extra on the side of the crease that goes over the spine. So not every page is going to be like that, but if you do have pages where it needs to be cut, that's what it's going to look like. So going to the next page. Place your flat edge on the inside of your first mark, and then make a flat angle. And then moving it to the inside of the next mark. and flat. So the whole idea is the part in between your two marks is going to be what makes the design on the outside. So you're not going to be able to see anything yet, but as you get going, you'll be able to see that H forming and then the hearts. Any questions on the folding parts? You just want to make sure that you're kind of precise in lining up your straight edge. Again, use the text in the book to help you do a straight line. And some of these folds are going to be really small. Some of them are going to be a lot bigger. So I'm on the 3rd page, and again, my fold goes over the spine. So I'm just coaxing that along there. Or you can grab a scissor and cut it, just do a little snip. And then this extra part, I will go back in with a scissor and cut that off. Just because it'll make your book lie flatter when it's all done. I'm on the 4th page now. And so far, these measurements are all very close together. So the part on the edge is just very small. How's everyone doing on this part? A little tricky when you haven't done it before, but then you kind of get the feel of the paper. And it's kind of fun. So I'm on the 5th page, and again, it goes over the spine, so that I'll go back and cut that off. Okay, has everyone got a few pages folded? Are there any questions on that process? So that's the whole idea. You go through, measure all the pages, go back and fold all the pages. I've seen videos where people do 1 page at a time, measure and then fold. I just like to do all the measuring first and then all the folding, just because when you get a lot of pages folded, it just kind of is easier to work with, I think, than trying to get it to lay flat and do what you want it to do. So I didn't bring my example of the finished project, but you can see in the chat what it's gonna look like. It's also on the pattern, but so I know it's a little fuzzy on there. When you're all done, if your book is laying kind of weird, you can always flatten it out. Or not specifically with this pattern, but I've had other patterns where I add a ribbon. I just hot glue a ribbon along the bottom of the page and the back, or the bottom of the cover in the back, and then measure it out to where I want it to lay open, and then glue the other end in the front, and it kind of helps it stay together. It shouldn't be an issue with this one, but that's a trick you can use. Also, it just kind of looks cute if you want to add something, that matches your decor, or if you're giving it as a gift, you could add somebody's favorite color. And these are fun to give as gifts because people are always amazed by them, because they're like, oh, how did you do that? Little do they know, it's just a pattern and some time.
So what do you do with the remaining pages that you have? At the beginning and the end, like I've got 42 pages at the front and the back of my book.
So those will just stay flat. That's why you want to have them kind of even. So those will just look like the edge, it'll be kind of like a beginning and the end of your.
Okay.
I mean, you could get fancy and add some design on there, but really it's just they'll just stay flat and kind of be the bun of your home sandwich.
Okay.
Any other questions as you're working through this? Otherwise, that's the bulk of what I have for you. You just keep following the pattern. I do have my email address here. If you come across any issues, you can give me an email and I'll get back to you. It's sethier@co.carver.mn.us. All the dots.
It was carbon copied on some of the emails that I sent out, so you can just look there too.
Right. And our new brochure is out for spring. We have lots of fun arts classes in April. So if you're looking to learn something new or to try out something, some of them are full, but I think a lot of them still have spaces. So you can go on our website calendar and sign up there, or just call the library. Not today, but we'll be there tomorrow. We'll get you signed up.
And I believe we also have kits available at some locations for the art poetry mashup that you can register for.
I know we have at least 8 in Waconia, and those are really fun. If you're like art poetry mashup, what is that? You're basically creating your own art. You can use poetry that's already written, or you can write your own poetry, and you get a kit that has a canvas and then paint. And also I think there's maybe pens and pencil. And you kind of just make whatever inspires you on this canvas, and then bring them back to the library and we'll put them on display. So that's really fun. And it's high quality art supplies that are in those kits. So really fun to work with that. Anything else I can answer? Any questions? Anne, Carla? Is it
No,
going good?
going well, thank you.
Right.
Yeah, I'm good too.
Oh, good. Well, we can cut off early here. That's all I have for you. And like I said, you just keep measuring and then fold it all up. It's going to take you a while, but you can do it. I know you can. And when you're all done, if you can't, don't worry about it. If you can get the rulers back to one of the libraries, that would be awesome because we reuse those for other classes. If you don't, no problem, but just a nice thing if you can get that ruler back when you're all finished. And take your time. I know I just had one from my class in December just came back, so don't feel like you need to rush.
Okay.
Yeah, and maybe when you hand the ruler back, let the people know where they should go, because
True.
not everybody reads their email as closely as they should. This is a fact of life.
They'll just look at you confused.
Otherwise, they're like, "Why are you?
Did you check this out?
Why are you handing me a ruler? It doesn't have a barcode."
Thank you very much. Awesome.
Thank you. I hope you enjoy.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Enjoy making your book
Bye.
folding.
Bye.
Bye-bye.